You know that feeling when something fundamental is changing, like the whole landscape is shifting?
Yeah, definitely.
That's kind of how I feel about the creative world right now, and a big part of that shift seems to be AI.
Absolutely. It's everywhere.
So today, we're diving deep into one platform that keeps popping up, Runway ML.
Right. Runway ML.
Yeah.
You hear the name a lot, and for good reason. It's really trying to put these powerful AI tools directly into the hands of actual creators.
Okay.
Think of it less like just one specific tool and more like a whole, well, an AI-powered studio maybe for generating and editing visuals, multimedia, that kind of thing.
An AI studio. Okay, so for someone who's maybe heard the name but isn't totally sure what it does, what's the core idea? Is it just for making like those weird AI images you see online?
No, not entirely. I mean, yeah, image generation is definitely part of the package, but Runway ML's vision seems much broader than that.
Okay.
It's really aiming to be a comprehensive suite. For creators, sure, but also filmmakers, artists. It offers AI tools for making videos, editing them. But also, and this is pretty cool, really powerful ways to mix different media,
Yeah.
like using text to influence video or images to style other images. Multimodal, they call it.
Multimodal. Yeah.
And maybe the most surprising bit, tools for what they term general world simulators.
General world simulators. Okay, now that sounds like something out of science fiction. What does that actually mean
Yeah,
practically?
it sounds a bit grand, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Um, Essentially, it means the platform has some pretty advanced ways to generate synthetic data, to create like realistic virtual environments from scratch,
Huh.
which is fascinating because it's not just for art, right? You can think about training other AIs, running simulations.
Hmm.
It really changes how you might generate or interact with visual data. We can dig into that more.
Yeah, we should.
But for now, yeah, let's think of this deep dive as kind of a shortcut, getting you up to speed on what Runway ML can do now, its pluses, its minuses, where it could get better,
Yeah.
and, its potential impact.
All right, I'm ready. Let's do it. So let's start with the positives. Why are people getting excited about this? What are the big advantages of using Runway ML?
Okay, well, a huge one, I think, is accessibility,
Oh.
the interface.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually designed to be pretty user-friendly, surprisingly so.
Really?
Yeah, you don't necessarily need, like, a PhD in machine learning to start playing around with some genuinely complex AI models. It really does lower the barrier to entry.
That's a big deal, actually, because AI often sounds so technical,
Yeah,
so intimidating.
exactly.
So you're saying someone who's focused more on the creative side, not the coding side, can actually jump in and use this?
Absolutely. And it's not just easy to start with, it's also incredibly versatile. Runway ML packs in a really diverse range of these
Yeah.
pre-trained AI models.
Okay.
Think of it like having this huge toolbox, right?
Yeah.
Full of specialized tools, image generation, sure, but also video styling, motion tracking, even stuff like removing objects from a video clip.
Whoa.
And it's mostly all there on one platform, which means you can experiment a lot without constantly switching between different apps or services.
That sounds great for just trying things out, exploring ideas. What else makes it stand out?
Well, going back to that multimodal thing, that's another key advantage. It's not just stuck in one lane, like only images or only text.
Right.
You can use, say, text prompts to generate an image, or use an image you have to guide the style of the video it creates.
Ah, I see.
That ability to connect different media types, it feels like a pretty powerful shift towards, more integrated creative workflows, where text, image, video, they all kind of talk to each other.
So the AI isn't just working off on its own, it's more interactive.
Precisely. And that ties into another point. Runway ML seems designed around the idea of creative augmentation. It's positioned as an assistant, a powerful one, sure, but one that helps your vision.
Okay.
You guide it, you refine what it produces, you integrate the results into your broader project. It feels more like a collaboration.
Yeah.
Human directs, AI assists.
That makes sense, like a co-pilot. And you mentioned real-time interaction earlier. How does that play into the collaboration idea?
Right, yeah. Often you get feedback almost instantly when you tweak a text prompt or adjust a setting.
Oh, cool.
That quick iteration cycle makes the whole process feel much more fluid, more intuitive. You see the effect of your changes right away, which just encourages more experimentation. What if I try this?
Yeah, that sounds much closer to how you work with traditional creative software, that immediate feedback loop.
And speaking of traditional tools, Runway ML usually makes it pretty easy to export whatever you create. So
Mm.
you can pull that AI-generated content right into, say, Photoshop or Premiere Pro or whatever you normally use.
Oh, okay.
It's designed to slot into your existing workflow, not necessarily force you to abandon everything else.
That's smart. Sensible. You also mentioned community. How does that help?
Yeah, the community aspect is actually pretty valuable.
Mm.
People share their experiments. Here's how I got this effect, tips and tricks, showcase cool results. It becomes this kind of hub for learning and inspiration. You
Yeah.
see what others are doing, maybe get ideas you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Right, and we can't forget those general world simulators. Can you give me a more concrete example? How might a creative actually use that?
Okay, sure. Imagine you need some very specific footage, maybe something impossible or just incredibly expensive to shoot for real.
Like a specific kind of alien landscape.
Exactly. Or maybe thousands of variations of a crowd scene under specific lighting. With these simulators, you might be able to generate that synthetically.
Wow.
Or maybe you're planning a complex film sequence. You could use it to pre-visualize the whole thing in a realistic virtual environment.
Mm-hmm.
Or even use that generated environment as a backdrop in virtual production.
Okay, that opens up a lot of possibilities.
It really does. I even saw a case where someone used it to generate tons of slightly different road scenarios to train a self-driving car AI. So the uses can be surprisingly broad, not just purely artistic.
That's fascinating. Okay, so Runway ML definitely has a lot going for it. But let's talk about the other side. What are some of the limitations, the challenges users might run into?
Good question. Yeah, while it's powerful, it's definitely not perfect. There are constraints. A big one is that reliance on the pre-trained models we talked about.
Right.
What you get out is fundamentally shaped by the data those models learned from. So if you have a super specific, really niche artistic style in mind,
Yeah.
well, you might struggle to get exactly that if the model hasn't been exposed to enough similar stuff during its training. The AI's imagination is sort of limited by its experience, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. It can only riff on what it already knows, basically.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing is the computational cost,
Okay.
especially for the heavy-duty tasks like generating high-res video or running those complex simulations. It takes a lot of processing power, which often means accessing the full capabilities, especially for demanding projects, usually involves a paid subscription.
Okay, so accessibility is great on the interface side, but maybe less so on the cost side for heavy users.
Potentially, yeah. That's a trade-off. Also, while the control is getting better all the time, you generally still have less direct pixel-level control compared to traditional tools like painting or 3D modeling.
Right.
If you need to tweak every tiny detail, AI generation can sometimes feel a bit more like steering a ship than, you know, sculpting clay directly. You're guiding it, but it's also doing its own thing.
So you're setting the direction, but the AI fills in a lot of the specifics itself.
Exactly. And, while the basics are intuitive, really mastering it, learning how to write prompts that get you exactly what you want, that whole prompt engineering thing and understanding the advanced knobs and dials, that takes time. There's still a learning curve.
Right. It's not just magic. You have to learn how to communicate with the AI effectively.
Precisely. Prompt engineering is definitely a skill in itself.
Yeah.
Learning how to talk to the AI.
Got it. Anything else?
Well, practical stuff. It's cloud-based, right? So you need a decent, stable internet connection.
Yeah.
If your internet is flaky, using Runway ML effectively is going to be tough.
Good point.
And finally, just the nature of the tech. AI is moving so fast. The models on the platform, the features, they get updated, they change. Which is great, means new capabilities, but it also might mean you occasionally need to adapt your workflow or relearn how certain things work. It's not static.
So it's a bit of a moving target. Okay, so we've got the good, the not so good currently. If you were advising Runway ML or just thinking about how these platforms could evolve, what improvements would you like to see?
Good question. I think one big area would be offering users even more fine-grained control, more intuitive ways to tweak specific attributes of the output, like give artists more precise virtual knobs and dials that really dial in the results.
More direct influence, less hoping the AI gets it right.
Exactly. And this might be a bigger ask, but the ability for users to train models on their own data, or maybe integrate models they've trained elsewhere, that would be huge.
Oh, wow.
Imagine being able to fine-tune an AI specifically on your unique art style, or for a very specific industrial design task. That level of customization could really unlock some things.
Yeah, like a truly personalized AI assistant for your specific needs.
Exactly. Another thing, maybe better feedback or explainability. If the platform could give you more hints about why it generated something a certain way based on your prompt.
Ah, like lifting the lid on the black box a little.
Yeah, even just a little. It could really help users learn how to prompt better, understand the AI's thinking.
Yeah.
More transparency usually helps the learning process.
Makes sense.
And maybe more niche, but some kind of limited offline functionality, even for basic tasks. That could be a lifesaver for people with unreliable internet.
True.
Also, just continuing to deepen the integration with other standard creative tools, making it even smoother to pass things back and forth between Runway ML and, say, After Effects or Blender. Less friction is always good. And finally, just keep building out those educational resources. More tutorials, maybe more structured ways for the community to share knowledge. Help new users climb that learning curve faster.
Sounds like a solid wish list. So let's zoom out. Looking further down the road, what do you see as the future for AI creative platforms like Runway ML? What are the big trends?
Oh, the future feels pretty wide open. I think we'll definitely see interfaces become even more intuitive, more conversational.
Like actually talking to the AI.
Maybe. Imagine describing your vision in natural language, maybe even showing it sketches or mood boards, and having the AI really understand and collaborate in a more nuanced way.
That's moving towards that sci-fi vision
And
again.
it kind of is. And that could
Ah.
lead to these hyper-personalized AI assistants we touched on. AI that learns your style, your preferences, your past projects.
Mm.
And then it could offer really tailored suggestions, generate drafts that are already closer to your specific aesthetic. Like having a apprentice who knows you really well.
Your own AI muse almost.
Yeah, something like that. And I expect we'll see AI getting woven even more seamlessly into the entire creative process. Not just one step, but helping with brainstorming, storyboarding, asset creation, editing, maybe even distribution.
Wow, end to end.
Potentially, AI could become this kind of background partner at every stage.
And what about things like VR and AR, the metaverse buzz?
Oh, generative AI seems tailor-made for that stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine AI helping to create dynamic, interactive content for VR or AR on the fly, populating virtual worlds, generating characters, environments.
Mm.
It could be huge for making those experiences richer and more responsive.
That's kind of mind-bending to think about. And what about access? Could this change who gets to make really high-quality stuff?
I think that's one of the most exciting potentials, actually, the democratization aspect.
Right.
AI tools could seriously lower the bar for creating professional-looking visuals, animations, effects, things that used to require massive budgets or huge teams or years of specialized training.
So more power to independent creators, smaller studios?
Exactly. It could really level the playing field, allow more diverse voices and visions to achieve really high production values. That's a really hopeful angle.
It really is.
And, maybe the most thrilling part is just the unknown.
Yeah.
The collaboration between human creativity and these rapidly evolving AI tools, it could genuinely lead to entirely new art forms, new ways of telling stories, new kinds of visual experiences we haven't even conceived of yet.
Wow, that's a pretty inspiring vision. Okay, so before we wrap this up, any fun facts or interesting little details about Runway ML specifically that caught your eye?
Yeah, a few things. It's kind of cool to know that the founders apparently started with a really clear mission.
Mm.
To bridge that gap between hardcore AI research labs and actual working artists and designers, to make the tech genuinely usable for creative work.
That core mission makes sense given what it does.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the sheer diversity of people using it is pretty striking.
Yeah.
It's not just, digital artists. It's filmmakers, designers, architects, researchers, even scientists using it for all sorts of innovative stuff across so many different fields.
So it's finding uses way beyond just visual art.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And their heavy focus on that multimodal aspect
Yeah.
that really reflects this modern understanding that media isn't siloed anymore. Text, images, sound, video, they're all increasingly interconnected in how we create and consume content.
Right. It mirrors how things are evolving anyway.
Exactly. And those general world simulators.
Yeah.
We talked about the creative uses, but it's also fascinating how they point towards AI generating synthetic data to train other AIs.
Yeah.
Like creating perfectly controlled virtual environments to teach an AI about the real world without needing real world data for everything. It's this interesting loop of AI helping to build better AI.
AI training AI. Okay, my brain hurts a little now.
Huh? Yeah, it's pretty meta. And just the fact that they're constantly adding new models, updating things, it really underscores how fast this whole field is moving. What Runway ML can do today might be totally different in 6 months or a year. It's evolving in real time,
Keeps you on your toes.
for sure. And finally, that community aspect we mentioned, it really does seem like a genuinely active space. People aren't just using the tool, they're experimenting, sharing wild results, pushing the boundaries in surprising ways. It feels like a real hub of exploration.
That collaborative energy must be pretty important when the tech is changing so fast.
Absolutely. Okay, so as we bring this deep dive to a close, if we were to boil it down, what are the key things people should take away about Runway ML?
Right. The main points.
I'd say the big takeaway is that Runway ML is really a front runner in making powerful AI genuinely accessible for creative work.
Hmm.
Your strengths are definitely that user friendliness, the versatility of having so many AI models in one place.
Okay. Accessible and versatile.
Yeah. But also be aware of the limitations, right? The dependence on pre-trained data, the
Mm.
potential costs for heavy use, the learning curve for mastery, the fact that it's still evolving.
So a powerful tool, but one that's still very much a work in progress in a way.
Exactly. And maybe think of it as more than just software. It feels like a real catalyst, pushing us towards this new era where human creativity and artificial intelligence work together in new ways.
A catalyst for a new creative era. I like that. So for everyone listening, maybe the final thought to chew on is this. With tools like Runway ML getting easier to use, even with their current limits, what kinds of new art, new stories, new expressions might you create? How could you combine your unique vision with what AI can offer? It's a pretty exciting frontier to think about.